This is the last meeting of the month. We have an open microphone session tonight.
Open mic. If you'd like to speak, please consider. Christopher Lawhead. I want to address recent abuses of power by certain individuals employed by the Lincoln Police Department and the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights of the United States Constitution. First of all, our nation's Constitution does little more than list the rights we already have. Every person is born with inalienable rights. They are not given to us, and they cannot be given away. The most a person can do with a right is choose whether to exercise it or not. The First Amendment is a list of rights that the state does not have authority to enforce law onto. Religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, or the right of a people to peacefully assemble, and the right to petition the government for grievances. All police officers throughout this country must take a sworn oath before they are authorized to perform the duties of a law enforcement officer. The oath holds certain major responsibilities and obligations that the average citizen or business person does not have. In America, the police officer's oath originates within the U.S. Constitution. All officers shall take and subscribe the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state. The police profession also has a code of ethics, but we fail to emphasize the relationship and importance of the code of ethics and oath of office as a continued commitment of how the officer is to conduct his or herself throughout their careers. These two documents are the most important issues of truth and integrity a police department has within the community it serves. This problem can be corrected by the police department doing a better job of training and education of our officers on the code of ethics and the police oath of office. It is quite clear that both the U.S. Constitution and Nebraska Constitution hold police officers and politicians accountable for their actions. Yet this is extremely rare. Thanks to qualified immunity and absolute immunity, which shields them from civil and criminal liability when they violate American citizens' rights, is extremely rare no matter what the evidence for a police officer to be charged with murder while on the job in the United States. On Sunday, the 26th at 1:05 a.m., it was a beautiful night in downtown Lincoln. The sidewalks were full of people having a good time, but anyone who would look at O Street would see a police presence mimicking that of an occupied country. Between 14th and Centennial, I decided to exercise my First Amendment right to free speech. After all, the First Amendment was also being exercised by everyone there assembling peacefully. I proclaimed that this is what a police state looks like, and I was immediately handcuffed and thrown on the hood of a cruiser for saying nothing more than this is what a police state looks like. Police Officer Elias, badge number 1601, broke his subscribed oath of office and ignored his code of ethics. This man decided to make his own laws and enforce them with no merit. The term police state describes a state in which the government exercises rigid and repressive control over the social, economic, and political life of the population. A police state typically exhibits elements of fascism and social control, and there is little distinction between the law and the political power of the executive. The inhabitants of a police state experience restrictions on their freedoms to express or communicate political or other views, which are subject to police monitoring or enforcement. One officer said I was arrested for disturbing the peace, another for inciting a riot. After a long while, my ticket for arrest reads, interfere or hinder arrest. I spoke with the UCLA today, and their only explanation was that I was hindering the arrest of the 4 people on the sidewalk, peacefully assembled. I will fight this charge all the way to the Supreme Court if I have to. You must set an example, and there should be repercussions to ensure to the people of Lincoln that these abuses of power will not go unchecked, and that the people, our tax dollars paid to patrol our streets with guns, follow the laws of the Constitution. That's all. Thank you.
Anybody else who'd like to speak?
Stephen Lawhead. I'm going to sign in now or after?
After your comment, thank you.
I've decided to appear before you today to address the issue of the Federal Reserve System and its practices and monetary policy. Despite the word federal in its title, the Federal Reserve is not part of the United States government.